I used to think marriage was something you worked through, not something you could simply pause. But apparently my wife, Claire, saw it differently. We'd been together for 9 years, married for 6. We met in Boston, both fresh out of college, both convinced that love was a promise you honored even when it got inconvenient. Back then, she made everything feel alive. Weekend drives to Cape Cod, small fights over pizza toppings, laughing until midnight because neither of us could let the other sleep. Somewhere in the last 2 years, that light dimmed. Work became her world. I'd wake up to an empty kitchen and a note that said, "Breakfast meeting." Nights ended with her face lit by the glow of her phone instead of her eyes meeting mine. I tried talking to her about it. I wasn't accusing, just concerned. She'd sigh, half listening, and tell me, "You're overthinking again, Ethan. I just need space." That phrase, "I need space," slowly became the wall between us. Then came the night that changed everything. It was late February. We were supposed to have dinner together for our anniversary, but she came home with her suitcase half-packed. She looked resolved. Not angry, just distant. "I got the grant," she said. "The 3-month project in Lisbon." I smiled, trying to be supportive. "That's great, Claire. When do you leave?" "Next week," she said, avoiding my eyes. Then came the line that hollowed me out. "I think we should pause our marriage while I'm gone. No expectations, no pressure. Just time to breathe." I stared at her. "Pause? Claire, this isn't a show you can stop and resume when convenient." She looked uncomfortable, almost rehearsed. "Ethan, please. I just need clarity." "We both do." She kissed my cheek, soft and guilt-heavy, and walked away to finish packing. That night, I sat in the dark kitchen staring at the ring on my finger. It had always meant permanence. Now it felt like a placeholder. When she left, I didn't chase her to the airport. I just let the silence settle. At first, I texted short check-ins, polite updates. Her replies got shorter, then eventually stopped. By the 3rd week, she wasn't even opening my messages. I tried not to assume the worst, but it's amazing how quickly your instincts catch what your heart tries to ignore. Photos of her smiling with new friends started showing up on social media. One of them, a guy named Marco, appeared in more than a few. Still, I said nothing. I simply detached. At work, I poured myself into projects I'd neglected. I reconnected with people I'd lost touch with. My coworker, Natalie, became someone I talked to almost every day. She wasn't trying to fix me. She just listened. For the first time in years, someone actually wanted to hear what I felt instead of correcting it. 2 months into Claire's pause, I stopped checking my phone for her messages. I stopped waiting for her voice. I started existing again. Then, one morning, I received an email titled, "Hey, stranger." It was from Claire. "I've been thinking a lot. I miss you. I think this time apart was good for us. Can we talk when I'm back next week?" No apology. No explanation. Just assumption. She was sure that I'd still be waiting at the same emotional checkpoint where she'd left me. I didn't reply, not out of anger, but because something had shifted. The Ethan she left behind didn't exist anymore. When she finally came home that Sunday, I was sitting on the couch reading. Her suitcase clattered against the floor when she saw the half-empty closet. "Where's your stuff?" she asked, her voice trembling. I closed the book and looked up. "Most of it's in my new apartment." Her jaw dropped. "You moved out." I nodded. "You paused our marriage, Claire." I just pressed play on my life. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man sitting in front of her. Maybe she didn't. "You're seeing someone?" she whispered. I hesitated, not because I felt guilty, but because I didn't owe her that clarity anymore. "I'm seeing peace," I said quietly. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Her eyes filled with tears, guilt, maybe realization. "Ethan, I just needed space. I didn't mean to lose us." I stood up, gently placing the wedding ring on the table between us. "You didn't lose us, Claire. You gave us away." Claire didn't speak at first. She just stared at the ring on the table like it was evidence of a crime she didn't mean to commit. I watched her chest rise and fall as she tried to find words that would make the situation less final. But sometimes, Silence is the loudest confession of all. I thought you'd wait, she finally whispered. I did, I said. For years. Not for months in Lisbon, years of you drifting, always one foot out the door. The trip just made it official. She sat down slowly, like her legs could barely hold her. I didn't do anything wrong, Ethan. I didn't cheat. I nodded. Maybe not physically, but you left long before you packed that suitcase. Her eyes flickered, unsure whether to be angry or ashamed. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, her confidence evaporating into the space between us. I remember when she used to argue with passion. Fire in her tone, conviction in her words. Now there was only exhaustion, like she was trying to negotiate with the ghost of the man she once loved. I just wanted to find myself, she said. And did you? I asked. She looked away. I found that I miss what we had. I smiled, not out of cruelty, but out of the sad understanding that nostalgia often arrives only when the consequences do. What we had, I said, was built on both of us showing up. I kept showing up, Claire. You stopped. The next few days were quiet. She stayed at the house for a while, pretending it was temporary. I didn't argue. I'd already signed the lease for my new place. A small apartment overlooking the river, nothing fancy, but peaceful in a way our house hadn't been in years. Natalie helped me move. She didn't ask questions. She just carried boxes and smiled when I told her I finally felt like I could breathe. She wasn't a replacement. She was a reminder that connection could still feel light. A week later, Claire texted, "Can we meet for coffee? Just to talk." I agreed, more out of curiosity than hope. We met at the same cafe where we used to sit on rainy Sundays, pretending we'd never run out of things to say. She arrived early, hair tied up, wearing that gray sweater I once told her was my favorite. For a moment, I almost felt the old warmth, but it vanished when she smiled the way people do when they're trying to rewrite history. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said. "I realize I ran away from us. From you." I nodded, sipping my coffee. "That's good. You're facing it." "I want to fix things," she said quickly. "We can start fresh. I'll move back in. I've learned a lot." There was a time I would have leapt at those words. But clarity changes what you hear. This time, I only heard panic in her voice, not love. "Claire," I said gently, "you didn't just take a trip. You tested what life without me felt like. And I think you got your answer." Tears filled her eyes. "You really won't try again?" I shook my head. "I already tried alone. That's not marriage. That's survival." She reached for my hand, but I pulled it back softly. There was no anger, just a final line being drawn with kindness instead of spite. "I met someone," I said after a moment. "It's new. I don't know where it'll go, but it feels real." Her lips trembled. "So that's it." "That's it," I said. "You paused something that wasn't a game. I just decided not to hit resume." She left without finishing her drink. I sat there for a long time, watching the condensation slide down my cup, thinking about how love doesn't always end in shouting. It sometimes ends in quiet understanding that two people stopped being the same version of themselves at the same time. Months passed. I didn't hear from her again. Mutual friends mentioned she moved to Chicago for work. I wished her well in my heart because bitterness is a chain I didn't want to carry anymore. Natalie and I grew closer, but slowly, respectfully. No rush to label it. I'd learned that peace isn't found in replacing someone. It's found in rediscovering yourself when the noise fades. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about that line. "Let's pause our marriage." I wonder if she realized how final that sounded to someone who'd already been living on pause for years. Now, when people ask me what happened, I tell them the truth. She left to find herself. I stayed and found myself too. The difference is, I didn't lose who I was in the process. If love is timing, ours simply ran out. But that's okay. Because sometimes closure isn't about slamming doors. It's about quietly locking them and walking away with your dignity intact. And if she ever wonders whether I waited for her, she already has her answer.